Hello, this video is to review solving inequalities with adding and subtracting. Okay, normally when we are reading inequalities, your variable is always on the left-hand side. So we might say that x is greater than 3 or y is less than 2, okay? We always want our variable to be on the left-hand side so we know which direction our arrow will point once we go to graph our answer. If you see something like this, which you will want to immediately reverse it, okay, and make your variable on the left-hand side. So to do that, you're literally going to flip everything around, okay? Up here it says 8 was greater than n, and now it says n is less than 8. It says the exact same thing, okay? We just always want to have the variable on the left, okay? So n is less than 8. When we go to graph that, remember that we find 8 on the number line. It's going to be an open circle because it's all numbers less than 8. We're not including 8. And then we're going to draw our line to the left because all numbers less than 8 and put an arrow on there as well. Okay? So, again, variables always go on the left. Then you will be putting your number line or your arrow on the number line in the correct way. Solving inequalities when we're adding and subtracting. Again, we're always going to undo, okay, addition with subtraction. We're always going to use the inverse operation. So if it says y plus 3, we want to get y by itself, so we're going to do the inverse and subtract 3 from both sides, and you are going to show your work. 3 minus 3 is 0. Leaves you with y is greater than 5 minus 3 is 2. So y is greater than 2, okay? Find 2 on your number line. It's going to be an open circle because we're not including 2 in our answer. Our arrow will point to the right, just like our inequality does in our answer. Number 2 says b minus 6. The inverse of subtraction is addition, so we're going to add 6 to both sides. Show your cancellation. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0, leaving you with b. Bring down your inequality, less than or equal to 6. Now, since it's less than or equal to, your answer could be 6. So we should fill in the circle. We close the circle. It's less than or equal to 6. And again, we're going to point to the left the same way as your arrow points in your inequality. Number 3, x plus 1/2. The inverse would be to subtract 1/2 from both sides. Remember that when we are adding or subtracting fractions, we need a common denominator. Now we can subtract. 1 3/4 minus 2/4 would be 1 1/4. X is greater than 1 1/4. Since we don't have exact 1 1/4 on our number line, I will want you to label 1 1/4 would be between 1 and 2. It is greater than 1 1/4, so an open circle, we're not including that in our answer, and it would point to the right. Okay. If you look at number 4, automatically you should be thinking, ooh, that letter, that variable is on the wrong side. We can go ahead and solve by doing the inverse operation. It says d minus 1, so we can do the inverse and add 1. Bring down your d, bring down your inequality, solve. However, before you graph, now you'll want to flip it, okay? So we're going to flip everything. So instead of saying 9 is greater than or equal to d, we're going to flip it and say d is less than or equal to 9. Find 9 on your number line. It's less than or equal to 9. So we get to include 9 in our answer. So it's going to be a closed circle, and it's pointing to the left. 5 is the same thing. We see that variable, that letter's on the wrong side. Okay, we'll wait, but make sure and flip it at the very end. It says z plus 12 and 5/10. The inverse would be to subtract 12 and 5/10 from both sides. Bring down your z, bring down your inequality. We lined up those decimals. Oops, I don't want to box it quite yet. So we have 4 is greater than z. Again, we want the letter on the left, so we're going to flip it. So it says z is less than 4. Okay, z is less than 4. We're not including 4 in our answer, so that's going to be an open circle, and it's going to point to the left. Okay, so hopefully those made sense. Let's look at a word problem. A standard school bus can hold 74 passengers. So obviously it can't hold any more than that. It can hold 74 passengers or less. 29 passengers have already boarded. Write and solve an inequality that represents the additional number of passengers that can board the bus. This will be a one-step inequality. So whenever it says let x equal, whatever the question that we're solving, that's our x, that's our variable, that's what we're solving for. So the problem we're trying to figure out is how many passengers, how many additional passengers can board the bus. So we're going to say let x equal number of additional passengers that can board. That's what x equals at the end of our problem. The number additional passengers that can get on the bus. Okay. We are starting with 29 passengers have already boarded, plus some additional passengers that can board, and the bus can hold 74 passengers. Okay, it can't hold more than that. It can hold up to 74. So what inequality would say up to 74? That would be less than 74 or equal to 74 passengers. So our inequality would be 29's on plus some additional needs to be less than or equal to 74. To solve, this says x plus 29, so the inverse to solve would be to subtract 29 from both sides to get that x by itself. And then we can solve. So x is less than or equal to 45. So the number of additional passengers that can get on the bus, 45 more people can get on that bus. Okay. All right.